Welcome to Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond. The primary focus of Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond is teaching people to use their natural abilities in quantum healing. This is an opportunity to enter the quantum realm and develop your metaphysical gifts, expand your energy to improve your life, your community, the planet, and beyond. In addition to quantum healing, Todd will cover many fun topics such as Bigfoot, UFOs, near-death experiences, ghosts, shadow people, and many others. Todd has a lifelong fascination with alternative healing, consciousness, expansion, and the human potential. Now, your host, Todd Wilcox.
Hello, everybody. What an intro. Todd Bates, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I wish I had anywhere near that talent. You did a phenomenal job with it, and it's just beautiful. Thank you very much. So, yeah, this is the first episode of Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond. I couldn't be more excited. I love the radio station that I'm a part of. And the wonderful thing is, here on WLTK-DB, my three initials are in the first four letters of that. So it was meant to be. I was supposed to be here, and here I am. So thank you for joining me. I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. Today is just going to be a lot of background stuff. In the future, we're going to have people joining me just about every episode. But today you're just stuck with me. Sorry about that. And let you know, it's a dog-friendly program. It's a pet-friendly program. So if you've got your cat hanging out with you, let it climb up and purr and get in the noise if you call in. We probably won't do any calls this time, but in the future, it's great having animals. So you'll probably hear a dog bark or two. And then just as a warning, there's a fly in here today that has been driving me crazy. So I'm going to be swinging at that fly from time to time. I'd like to give you a heads up so you know what's coming at you. So who am I? My name's Todd Wilcox. I have been working on this process, the Slipstream Shaman process, for about 15 years. Didn't realize that it was going to be this when it started. What it started out as, I was on a paranormal team, and a person from another paranormal team called me and invited me to join a bigger group. And what that group would do is go to places that nobody else could help. If there was a haunting that couldn't get cleared up, if there was something that just couldn't be figured out, we would go in and help the people. And I was very excited to do that. And the first thing I asked was, okay, that's great, but how are we going to do it? We're just groups, the same. We're coming from the same groups that weren't able to help. How are we going to help? And we started talking about different ways that we were going to learn to help these people. And one of them, we brought in a shaman to teach us how to access our energy and use our energy to protect ourselves and the people that we were working with. And as we were learning this, the shaman was holding her hands together, feeling her energy, and she was describing it. And she says, it's going to be this color. Well, mine wasn't that color. It was light blue. She said, it's going to be warm. It's going to be hot. Mine was not warm or hot. Mine was cold. And it was really hard for me to be a part of what she was doing because it just didn't make sense. And one of the things that I talk about in the book, and we'll talk about the book Slipstream Shaman, is if something doesn't ring true to you, it's okay. You can adjust. Go to the side until you find what resonates with you. Don't be trapped by something somebody else does. If you've seen the movie A River Runs Through It, there was a segment where the father was teaching the two boys how to fly fish, and he had the metronome, that you take off the piano. It's doing this thing, and he had it set at a certain rhythm, and he was teaching the kids, that's how you do it. That's the rhythm you use. That's the rhythm you use. And it was a great teaching tool. It got them out fishing, and they got success with it. But the younger brother found a different rhythm. He found his own rhythm. And when he did, he was able to have a much better experience. And, he caught a gigantic fish too. So it's okay to break away and do something different. That's how this started. Slipstream Shaman, the practice of Slipstream Shaman is different than many practices of shaman. And it's about speed. It's about getting things done fast. We don't have 3 days to work on one thing. We don't have 2 weeks to work on one thing. Things are much faster now than they used to be. And that's what we're looking for here. And what is a slipstream? So slipstream is something that pulls you on and moves you very fast. I want you to think about when you're on the freeway and you're driving along and a diesel semi truck pulls by you and it just like pushes you off to the side, right? And then it goes past you and it sucks you back over where you were. That's part of the slipstream. Then you get behind that truck and you notice that all of a sudden you're going much faster than you were and you're using less RPMs. So you're using less energy to go faster because you're in that slipstream. And that's what we're doing here. We're going to make changes in our life that not only affect us right now, they affect our past, they affect our future. And we get propelled towards our future from the things that we're changing, and it gets bigger and bigger and stronger all the time. So a little effort goes a long way to making a gigantic change. So why do I do this? Like I said, I started working on this process. It wasn't called Slipstream Shaman 15 years ago, but it was helping. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I would soon find my purpose. And I found the purpose through the Slipstream Shaman process that we're going to learn. And what my purpose is to help. And so I want everybody to know that if you go to my website, slipstreamshaman.com, there's a place there for an email. Send me an email if you need a healing. I do them for free. I'm about a month behind right now. Just to give you heads up, don't expect an immediate response because there's just so many, and I can only do so many in a day. It takes some of my energy out. So I want you to know that I will get to all of them. I will do a healing for everybody, and there will be something that improves. So sometimes when I do a healing, the person's 100% better. Sometimes 50% better. Sometimes it's barely better, a barely change. An example of that would be just recently I was working with somebody who had a dog that was passing away. And we weren't able to save the dog. It was an older dog. It was just the dog's time. But that dog went much more peacefully after the healing. And the anxiety and the fear wasn't there. So there's always something. The observer effect in quantum physics tells us anytime you're looking at something, it'll make a change. And then to take that a little bit farther, if you're looking at it with a positive intention, you're going to get some kind of a positive change. And so that's what we do. We help people improve their lives, improve their health, and it's free. I don't charge. And I'm not tricking you. I'm not telling you it's free and then asking for a donation, anything like that. Nor am I saying that people that charge are wrong. At this moment, I feel like it's wrong for me to charge for those things. That could change in the future. I don't know. I think there's also people that if they are not paying, won't get as much benefit as if they do. So by all means, don't think that I'm saying that people that charge for energy work shouldn't be. I'm saying it's not for me at this time. So it's free of charge. Please send me an email and be fairly vague. Just give me a basic of what's going on. The more I know, the more my head gets involved instead of spirit and energy, and I don't get the results that I want. So give me a little bit of information, but not a lot. So let's go back to how this all happened. I was approached by that group, and as we were doing the training, it just wasn't working for me. So I kind of backed off. I didn't want to interrupt the training. I didn't want to hurt anybody else's learning, but it wasn't working for me. So I kind of disengaged. I paid attention to what they were saying and doing, and then did it on my own later. And what I found was at that time, when I found my energy between my hands, it was light blue, and it kind of looked like a ball. And in the book, I talk about finding your energy ball. But what your energy looks like is entirely up to you. One of the people I work with has this energy that just has these great streamers going off in all directions, multiple colors. That's what their energy looks like. Another person, it looks like a big thing of honey. So it's going to be different. Everybody's is different. Don't worry if it doesn't look like mine. So I found my energy, and I was working with that. It started out as just protection. So I'd find my energy and just put it over my body when I would go to a paranormal investigation to keep things away from me. Then that grew to where I would put it around the people that I was on the investigation with and around the house that we were working on. And then eventually I put it around my house and then all my relatives' houses, and then the state that they lived in, and then the United States. And now it's where I put it around the world or even the universe. And this is something I do every day. I work on putting protection around people to make things better, safer for them. So I'm working on this. I'm getting everything put together. I'm feeling the energy. I'm seeing that I can send energy to people and push things away that shouldn't be there. And then one day, I don't recall how it actually happened, if I said something or what happened, but all of a sudden I was in a room. I was working on my energy, and then I was in this room, and I call it a room, but it really doesn't look like a normal room. It looks like if I was inside a thundercloud. It was kind of a dark gray, just swirling mass of dark gray energy around me everywhere, all around me. And I found that in that room, I could do just about anything. I could go places in time. I could relive things. I could focus. I could actually meditate. For years, meditation was all about sitting down, relaxing, trying to clear my mind, and then falling asleep for a half hour. I don't know if any of you had that, but that's how meditation was for me. And so what I found was when I was in my quantum room, I could actually meditate. And as I was meditating, I started getting answers to things that I'd been wanting to know forever. And the biggest one was, what's my purpose? So for those of you out there that are searching for your purpose, this could be the way that you find it, is finding your energy, going to your quantum room, meditating in that place of energy and spirit, and letting that answer come to you. And for me, it was just two simple words. My purpose was to help. And I truly thought that as soon as I found out my purpose, everything would be fine. Everything would make sense. I'd be working for it, straightforward for my purpose, and everything would be wonderful. And what I found out was that even though to help is very simple, it's not easy. So then I had to figure out how to help. Is it to help me? Is it to help dogs? Is it to help the world? Who is it that I'm supposed to help? So I started to find that. As I was working in this quantum room, I asked for guides to come to me. And different guides materialized. I have some upper level guides that I work with for the really big things. I have 2 spirit animal guides that I work with for many, many things. And then I have people and animals that come to me to help with other things. Now I'm going to sneeze. So I hope I muted that just in time. I love it when a sneeze sneaks up on me. So I also have animals that come help me, and people that come help me when I'm healing people. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So that all takes place in the quantum room. And my quantum room, as I said, looks like I'm inside a thundercloud. Everybody's is different. One of the people I work with has this beautiful staircase that she walks down, and there's a pond, and she can float in the pond. She can walk in the pond. She can put her feet in the pond. But that's what her quantum room is. Other people are floating in space. There's people that are underwater. One is on the moon. There's people that have that are in a favorite car. So it can really be anything, whatever you want. Mine just happened. And I think that's why it just looks like energy, and where other people were working towards it. So it ended up being something that they pictured and they got. So anything's fine. Any quantum room's fine. Don't let it bother you if it's something a little bit out of the usual. And so the healings. Let's talk about maybe why we do these healings. Who it can help. People that go on paranormal investigations and they're worried about bringing something home with them. A ghost, what you might call a demon, some kind of a spirit that you don't want to have follow you. This will be a good way for you to make protection. Do you have night terrors? Are you afraid to go to sleep at night? Are you afraid to stay asleep at night? Are you afraid of what you're going to wake up to? Putting this energy around you and giving yourself a safe space will help you sleep better. So that protection at night. And that's something that I struggled with. You're so vulnerable at night that you sometimes get nervous going to sleep. And I just noticed we have a Facebook user on. Thank you for mentioning us. Very cool, it says. Thank you. And if anybody wants to come on, please feel free to give comments. I'll be a little slow probably at getting them at first, but thank you for doing that. And there's a spot on Facebook that lets you go in and put your name so your name can be read if that's what you want. But everything comes through right now just as Facebook user because of a new rule that they passed. So the night protection, definitely something to look at. Anxiety. Many of the people that I do healings for have anxiety. And this energy and cleaning house, keeping things right in your thoughts. It's the great way to do this. You can protect your family. You can heal old family trauma. There's so many things you can do with this energy. Once you find your energy and once you start working on it, you'll come up with new things. And I would really, hey Pete, thank you. I would really encourage you to do that. So find your energy and start healing and get better. But go to slipstreamshaman.com and see, or shoot me an email and we'll certainly work on one together as well. I would also encourage anybody out there that's thinking this might be something of interest to go to Instagram, Slipstream Shaman, and just put in, just follow me and I'll follow you back. And that's where all the new things come out. We're going to talk about polymodellas in a little bit. And what that is many healings. And all the new ones that we do will be on that. And I'll be talking about it as it comes up. And I'll give you times when it's going to happen so you can be involved. You can actually get involved while it's happening. And that'll be a lot of fun and very powerful. The more of us that get involved, the better. So moving back. So we talked about some of the things that you can work on in the quantum room. Now, what's my process? How do I help people? So what I do is I find my energy. I go to the quantum room. And in that quantum room, a couple different things can happen depending on what needs to be done. I may go to that quantum room just to talk to my guides, my high-level guides, my animal spirit guides. Or if I'm working with somebody specifically, I typically will invite in 3 different groups. As I told you, when this all started, it was to go to places and help people that nobody else could help. And so I figured if I'm going to do that, I'm going to need some kind of a warrior team. As we were doing these various trainings, the people in the training would say, okay, I'm going to invite Archangel Michael to come with me or whoever. And I never felt that I could ask one of those angel type things to come with me, but other things did. And when I went to the quantum room and decided that I was going to develop a warrior team to help me with those things, I just said, who wants to be on my warrior team? And an amazing thing happened was the clouds, the mist started moving around, and out of that mist walks this little dog I used to have named Desi, a little beagle. And she was honestly the prettiest dog I ever saw. If you looked down at her, you could see what looked like wings in her fur. She was absolutely gorgeous and super sweet to people, super sweet to the other dog that we had. But if you were a dog that was not invited into our yard, she was going to fight you and you were not going to like it. If you were a rat or a snake, it would be even worse. Yeah, it was not only going to be a bad day, it was going to be your last day. She was ferocious with those kind of things. And so I thought this is a great addition to my warrior team. Not to mention that she had the best nose ever. She'd be able to find anything. And so Desi was the first one, and I'm petting her and getting reacquainted. She had passed away about 5 years before that. So this was her spirit coming to me in the quantum room, wanting to help. I asked out loud, who else is going to come to help? And other dogs started coming in. It was just dogs. It was dogs that I'd had. And you can see back here, I'm going backwards, I have a Springer Spaniel on the wall. And they're a breed that I've fallen in love with a long time ago. I was raised with them, and I've had my own. And so my Springers that had passed came to help. Max, who was a great fighter. This dog was not afraid of anything and would never end a fight. He was super gentle and really nice with puppies and female dogs and male dogs that didn't try to show dominance. And if there was any dominance, the fight was on. And so another great addition. A couple more of my dogs came through, and they wanted to help. And then I had an uncle come in. This guy had been in the Korean War and also World War II, highly decorated Marine, just a tough guy. If you take Red Foreman and Clint Eastwood and put them together, that's kind of my uncle. And I'll tell you, the neighborhood boys respected him, and nobody messed with his house. We all liked him and wanted to be with him, and about 90% of those boys ended up in the Marines, me included, and it was all because of this uncle. So another great addition. Then we had some characters out of a book and out of a movie that came to help. And so I had a pretty good warrior team. I was pretty confident that if we went up against something metaphysical, what we would call a ghost or a demon or whatever the case, I thought we could probably handle it with this warrior team I had. And so I was feeling pretty good about going to help with those things. And as we were doing those investigations and I was using the warrior team, they did help. They got rid of some things. But what was really miraculous was I was talking to a friend, and this friend mentioned a health problem. And while I was in the quantum room meditating, the warrior team showed up. My friend who said that showed up. Now, not physically. Everything I'm talking about is metaphysics. It's in an area of energy and spirit, and that's where shaman work, is energy and spirit. And so my friend's energy essence came in. The warrior team was there, and Desi took the lead and started sniffing around this person and pulled some things out of them. We got these entities out of the person, and we'll just talk about that real quick. What I found is there's 3 different things that we find. There's companions that started out as something positive, something good for us. There are parasites who never were good necessarily, and then there's something that's otherworldly, what people would call a demon or an alien or whatever the case, something bad that's there with bad intentions for you. So those are the 3 things we encounter. I'd say about 98% of the time, it's going to be a companion, something that started out positive, but has since caused us trouble. And then a very small percent is going to be the parasites that are bad things that we have to deal with. And then only twice have I run into the otherworldly things. Actually 3 times have I run into the otherworldly things. So for the most part, you could almost say they're self-inflicted. And so what I mean by a companion that started out as something good, imagine you're 5 years old and you've got a pain in your arm. So you take a piece of leather and tie it around your bicep. You tie it tight, and then you notice the pain's gone. This is great. The pain's gone. Now you're 5 years old and you do that. What happens when you're 8 and you've still got that tied to your arm? Well, now it's starting to hurt your arm, right? 10, 11, 12. If you left that thing there, eventually you're going to kill your arm and you're not going to have the rest of your arm. So something that started out positive that helped as you grew up, as you went along, no longer was. And that's what a companion is. And what we're doing is releasing it to be what it should be, to be that healthy, happy energy that heals people. And so with the companions, what we're looking for, we remove them from the person, and then we put energy on them to debride them. And what I mean by debride is we're going to get rid of all the crud that's on it. Debriding is kind of it's an ugly thing. If you get burned really bad, say you get burned on your arm, and what the doctor's going to do is peel off that stuff, and that's debriding. So you're getting rid of the problem so that the stuff underneath can heal. And we do that with energy. We debride these things. We take off the people. We clean them up, and then we give them love energy. And I'll talk about the love team in just a minute. But that releases them to be what they're supposed to be. I'll give you one of my favorite examples. Was a lady came into the quantum room, and I didn't know what kind of health trouble she was having. She just asked for a healing. And Desi, sniffing around her, starts digging in her back. And while she's doing that, she pulls out this thing that looks like a rag, just pulls it out. And we put it on the ground and healed her, put love, healing energy inside her, sealed up her back. So that was, and this thing had been around her heart. And so we removed that, and then we healed that area. Then we took energy, debrided that rag, filled it full of love, and it transformed from a rag to a beautiful little boy that looked up at her with a big smile and then left. So the energy that had started out as something positive became something that was causing her problems. We released it and healed that energy so it could go off and do good things. Also, the lady that I was helping, now with that gone, her energy, we lined up her energy in her body. So now she was able to heal and her heart started to get better. So that's a companion. And when we come back from break, we'll be going to break in a minute. But when we come back from break, we'll talk more about what the companions are and how it started. We weren't always really nice to these things. I thought they were a problem, just had to go away. So instead of cleaning them up and then giving them love energy to heal, we just tried to incinerate them. I thought they were something bad. And I realized later that most things start with a positive intent. And that was when and when I say we, the teams that helped me in the quantum started changing the way we were looking at things. And so these companions, instead of incinerating, we cleaned them up, debrided them, gave them love energy so that they could heal and move on and either go help somebody else with something that they were good at or just go be happy energy. And it really didn't matter which way, but they were released from something that they were causing problems with, and now they can move on to helping or just enjoying stuff. And with that said, we're going to take our first break, but we'll be back in just a few minutes with more Slipstream Shaman, quantum healing, and beyond.
Want to keep up with the latest at the station? How about catch up on your favorite shows on the go? Download the free WLTK-DB mobile app on the App Store and Google Play. Watch, listen, and shop right from the palm of your hand. The WLTK-DB mobile app. The truth is here and now. Get yours today.
We are back. Thank you for sticking with us. We're back with Slipstream Shaman, quantum healing and beyond, and really having fun. First episode. wasn't sure what to expect, but boy, I sure like to hear myself talk. So this is working out great. I would just like to encourage everybody to check out the book, Slipstream Shaman. You can get this and just notice that's what my energy looks like now. I told you that it started out as a light blue. It's evolved to something that looks very much like that. If you shine a light through a diamond or kind of a spark, if you look at a sparkler, it looks like that. You can see the fingers. Very close. Had a great person put together my book, and so you can get that. You can go to the website, to my website, slipstreamshaman.com, and order the book there, or you can go right to amazon.com and order it, and you can get it either in paperback or in Kindle. And so I would also like to tell you a little bit with the book. It was made to be a fast read. It's designed to be fast. So many times I'm a library kind of guy. I've got this wonderful room at my home, my man cave, and I sit in a Captain Kirk chair that I built. I have right in front of me a partial Dalek that I built that has a dinosaur footprint sitting on it, and then just tons of books in there. And the books give this wonderful smell. A lot of them are old. Many are new, but some are old. You get this wonderful smell from the books, and it's nice to hold a book. And when I go to people's homes and I see their libraries, their dens, and I see all the books, I ask them, how many of those have you read? And almost every time, one or two. And they might be pushing it. They may have not finished that one or two. And the problem is those bigger books are so thick and there's so much information. You get overwhelmed. And if any of you have ever bought a self-help book or whatever, and you expected it to really make a difference in your life and you just got overwhelmed, I've done it. There's just too much and it's hard to do. And so that's why this was designed the way it is. It's designed, you can read the whole thing in 2 to 3 hours. And if you just wanted to get started with the processes we're talking about, it would take you about 45 minutes to read through that first part of the book, to know the processes, and then start practicing them. The second half or 2/3 of the book is just about the experiences that I've had in the quantum realm and talking about that. So the meat, the part that teaches you how to do what I do, and I believe everybody has the ability to do it. And it's going to look different, guys. Don't think it's going to look exactly like mine. Just go with what you get. But you can start doing that in about 45 minutes. It's a fast read. It would, and I want people to read the entire book. It would break my heart if people bought the book and then didn't have the time to do it. And so that's why it was set up that way. A fast read, 2 hours for most people. Some of us go a little longer, but I would say for just about the entire population, 3 hours, you've read the entire book, but 45 minutes to get the stuff that you need. So yeah, you can order that through slipstreamshaman.com or straight to Amazon and order that and get it. And it's a pretty quick response to get it. So we talked about the warrior team. We also talked about the different things that we pull off. We talked about the companions, which started out as something positive and then became something that hurt us or slowed us down or made us sick, because we change, our life changes, our energy changes, and they didn't change with us. And so what we're doing with the companions is just releasing them to go do their thing, whether it's helping somebody else, maybe even helping you again, maybe just helping themselves and going off and enjoying their energy life. It's hard to say. The second thing is a parasite. Parasites typically started as something less than positive. And they usually show up when I find them. They usually look menacing, painful, sometimes insect-like. And I don't want it to sound like insect just because it looks like an insect is bad, but its behavior is bad. And they do tend to look like insects. And maybe that's my own bias. They may look different than you. But a parasite, different for you. A parasite started off with less than good intentions. And I was on a radio show not too long ago, and as we were talking about that, I got thinking about road rage, and we were talking about it with the host of this show, and we all have a problem with road rage. And I'm wondering if those very intense, very negative thoughts that we have during road rage could somehow evolve into one of these parasites. And I'm sure it's not every single one, because I don't find a lot of parasites. But I think it might be the genesis of a lot of them, where they started from. And then they're also able to grab that negative energy that we're throwing out during road rage and get bigger and stronger and do more damage. So we're going to talk about polymodellas soon, but I did a polymodella not that long ago for road rage. And, it was designed mostly for me, but polymodella helps everybody. And so as you read about polymodella, or as you hear about it, and I'll tell you the basics of it this show, and then I'll probably read you the results in another show. And when I say read you the results, when I'm working in the quantum field, I don't remember most of what happened unless I make notes really quick, and I have to review the notes to tell you what I saw. And so what I think is happening is our human brains aren't capable of taking the information and keeping the information that we get in the quantum field, because time is different. The way things interact is different, and it's just foreign to our brains. And so it's not able to hold it. If we make notes, we can hold it. As you look at my notes, I have I have a style of writing that's not very pretty, but it's legible. When I'm writing in the quantum, when I'm writing notes from a quantum visit, it's almost impossible to read. My brain to my hands, from my memory and the quantum, that energy, it's so jumbled up that it's almost impossible to read my writing. Another thing that happens when I'm in there is time is different. And so when I write about my experiences in the quantum room, I can have a sentence talking about one thing, and present, past, and future tense will all be used. And when I sent this book to the editor, she absolutely cringed over that. But I kept telling her, those are the right words. Those are the words that make sense from that experience. And she said, it doesn't matter. People have learned English, and you can't do that in your writing. So pick one of these three and change so that it's either all present, all future, or all past. And so I did, and it didn't read right to me, but it read right to other people. And so just because I was in the quantum room and those words made sense, I got understanding that time was different, and our relationships in the quantum room were so different. So when you read about my experiences, just know that they're much cleaner than when it started. And I've kind of rambled on about where, I'm not sure where I started, but the parasites are something that we need to be aware of. And I did a polymodella, a mini healing on road rage. And the healing works like all the others. The warrior team comes in, looks for companions, looks for parasites, pulls them off. We heal them. We heal what we're talking about. Also, in this particular polymodella, I had to do some trauma release. It was such a big one that I had to release some trauma. And that's going to be in the second Slipstream Shaman book, Trauma Release. And I'm really excited about that. That is going to be great for first responders, for people in the medical field, in the military, people that work with other people. This time of year, if you're working retail, you know what I'm talking about. If you're working in restaurants, you know what I'm talking about. If you're a customer at those things, you know what I'm talking about. People are on edge and they're not being very nice. And so we need to release that trauma. You talk to a waiter or a waitress, a server at a restaurant, and they'll have taken care of 1,000 people in the month. Guess who they remember? The one mean one. They don't remember the 999 wonderful people that they helped. They remember the one mean one. We need to release that and move on and have better thoughts and cleaner energy. So that's going to be on that. So we talked about what a parasite is. It started as something less than positive. The final thing, companions, most of what we find. Parasites, something we find a lot of. And then the final thing is something not of this world. And you may call that a demon, an alien. There's probably another term that can be used, but these are things that aren't like us, that are typically using us, taking our energy. And like I said, I've run into for sure two, possibly a third, but I'm thinking that the one that I thought might have been a third could just be another aspect of one of the other two. And so the things that I found that were not of this world is, with a friend named Ron, there was this triangle-shaped alien that was taking his heart energy. And I'm going to have Ron on the show, and we'll talk about that. And then the other thing is this giant, I mean giant, it's like the size of a sun or more, with millions, maybe billions or billions of billions, I don't know, of these tentacles going out and sucking energy. And I think I may have run into that in a basement that I was doing some work on as a paranormal investigator. So I may have run into that twice, once in that basement, once with another person. And it's big, and there's something that's hurting a lot of people there. And we'll be looking at that. And as we build this Slipstream Shaman community, how much strength is 100 of us going to have compared to one? How much strength is 1 million of us going to have compared to one? And I can't even imagine what it's going to be like as we get more and more people involved in this and going on it and helping. So those are the three things that we run into. The process is, I'm in the quantum room. I invite the person in that asked for the healing. Then I invite who wants to come in from the warrior team. And almost always they all come in. Sometimes a few stay away. And I told you about the ones that were there when we started. But since that time, some cats that I had growing up have started to help. Some horses of my father's have come to help. A rat that I had in college has come to help. And then recently a giraffe. And I don't know what the connection is with the giraffe. Everything else, there's been some kind of connection. And I guess the only connection that I have with the giraffe is that I just think they're magnificent. I love to look at giraffes. I love the way they interact. I love looking at the pictures of the parents with the babies. And I just think giraffes are awesome. So I think that might be why it came to help. But it's been very effective helping. That's the warrior team. The next team, so I told you that we were just incinerating those companions. And what I didn't realize was that they probably started out as positive. So I thought, well, what's going to be the opposite of the warrior team? We need a love team. And the love team, I asked, who's going to be on the love team? My favorite aunt walks out. And it just so happens that her husband is that Marine I told you about. This lady was the nicest person that I've ever been around. She wanted everybody to be included in everything. She just radiated love. You couldn't help, most people couldn't help but be happy and feel better about their lives when they were around her. And I was so pleased that she came out. Then I had a little dog named Sinsin that came out. She was a little poodle that we had, the sweetest little thing ever. She came out to be on the love team. And a couple other things would come and go. And about 5 years ago, maybe not quite 5, maybe 3, I started seeing this little girl with pigtails kind of peeking out from the periphery when the love team was working. And we kept inviting her over. She wouldn't come over for a long time. Finally came over and, was accepted in the love team. And my aunt was just holding her the whole time, and a sweet little girl with pigtails. What I found out later was, and I had a tough time with my mom, and what this is her as a young child. And while I couldn't get past some of the issues my mom and I had, I certainly could love this little girl, this little 8-year-old girl with pigtails. You can't help but love her. She was sweet. She wanted to help. And so she was accepted into it. And it was a wonderful way for my mom and I to start healing. And I couldn't be happier that was something that happened. I'm glad that she's on the team. So that's the love team. And what they would do is after the person that we helped was also debrided and cleaned, and we started to heal the wound from the parasite or companion that was on them, we would surround them like in a big group circle hug and just radiate them with love energy, and that would heal them, and they would overflow with it and start feeling better. We also started doing that with the companions and the parasites. When we did it with the companion, they would just change into something else. They would go to a new form. They evolved. So like I told you, the rag turned into that beautiful little boy. It might be a stick that turns into a stream. It might be a rock that turns into a bird and flies away. Normally, they're things that move, but not always. And it's beautiful watching them change. And I felt so bad that we didn't do it for the rest. I did do a timeline energy shot back to hopefully go to all those instances where we didn't give those things love and to give them love. So hopefully they've all received that energy and moved on to what they needed to be. After the love team, we call in the 7 generations. And what this is the 7 generations of that person's past and the 7 generations of their future. And you can hear my dog Hobbs right now. He wants to come out and play. Like I said, it's a dog-friendly show. But he's got to be a good boy for a little bit. So the 7 generations come in. What normally happens is they get around the person and it's like a gigantic hug. Sometimes they get around the person and there's some dancing or movement of some kind. I can usually see symbols evolve from the way the people are moving. I can usually see color. And when I send the information to people about the healing that I do, I always tell them what I see. I might see a bunch of letter S, or I might see a 7 a bunch of times, or I might see red, or whatever the case. I just share that with them. And when I say 7 generations from the past and then 7 generations from your future, these are not just blood relatives of now. These are people that are in your spirit group. These are people that are so close as friends that they become part of this. These are people that just should have known you if they didn't. They're a part of this. So it's not just, if you don't have any children, don't think that it's not going to happen, because the rest of your family, their children and children and children will come to you, as well as spirit groups and people that are a part of your life or should be a part of your life, and animals as well. All kinds of things come in the 7 generations. It's really beautiful. It gives that person love, connection, and protection. They feel so much better when these things are around them. And so that's the final part of how I do a healing. And then I'm making notes as I go. And like I said, they're hard to read. And then I'll type it up and send an email to the people that asked me by email, or I'll make a call for the people that called me, or however we set it up. And there's many different ways that we set these things up. So that's the process. That's the different things that take place. The other world things, the big one that I'm dealing with, I don't think I'm going to be able to handle that thing on my own. It's going to be the Slipstream community that helps me get rid of that thing. So I'm looking forward to the help and looking forward to watching this grow. All right, polymodellas. What a polymodella is a many healing, okay? And when I talk about it, people say, well, I don't know what that means. It's not really a word until now. And it just means, like I said, many healings. So what that could mean is many people are healed. What it could mean is many things are healed on you while we do it. Anytime multiple healings take place, that's what a polymodella is. I talked to you about the road rage polymodella. I've done it for other things. There's 5 of them that I talk about in the Slipstream Shaman book. I just love that cover. She did such a wonderful job. Jenny Ashford is the one that did it. If anybody's looking for a book cover, let me know. Send me an email and I'll get you her information. Really wonderful at making things. So let's looks like we've got about 10 minutes. Let's just do a polymodella. And what I'm thinking is, as you're listening, and it doesn't matter if you're listening to this live or later, you're going to tap into the same energy. If you're watching it on a recording, 2 years from now, you're going to tap into the same energy. So what I would like you to do, if you're driving, obviously you're not going to close your eyes, but you can breathe along. So let's take a couple of nice deep breaths. Just keep breathing nice and letting yourself be a part of this energy. Keep your eyes open if you're driving. Keep your eyes open if you're at work. You can keep your eyes open if you're at home, but sometimes it's funner if you don't. But just allow the energy of this many healings to come to you. And what I'm picking up right now that we're going to heal is a tickle in the back of the throat, right back here. That's what's calling me. So I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but there's a lot of people that have some kind of a tickle in their throat. It might be from wearing masks for 2 years. It might be you live in a place with some bad air. It might be, from sleeping with your mouth open, who knows? But there's a tickle in the back of the throat that this polymodella is addressing. And so we're just going to take a nice deep breath, and I'm going to ask, I'm going to close my eyes for part of this. I'm going to ask the warrior team to come in. And we've got looks like the entire warrior team has come in to help. And this tickle has moved from, just a general tickle to actually in my throat. So I'm going to ask Desi to sniff around and see what she can find. And it's really weird. She's not going straight into my throat. She's going through this ear, my right ear, and then down. And she's pulling out, kind of looks like those washers that you have for bottles. It has a handle with brushes on the end, so you can put it inside a bottle or a glass and clean it out. She brought that out, and that was what was causing that tickle, that pain. And we don't know what these are typically. We don't know what it represents, but we do know that's how it's manifesting to us. So we're going to take this rattle, the brush, and put it on the ground. And now we're going to just debride it with energy. We're going to burn off anything that's bad, that's keeping it from being itself, cleaning it up. And now the love team is going to surround it and fill it with love. And as this is doing this, any of you that had that tickle, you've probably noticed that it's left, but now this thing is starting to morph. And it's what looks to me like a bit of a frog, a little bit sleeker than a frog, but kind of that same shape as a frog. And it has a big smile, and it's hopping away, and it kind of jumped into an energy stream and just kind of darted away like a fish would. So that companion has been released, and that's a companion that multiple people have had. Hundreds, thousands, millions maybe have had it. And now I'm going to move over. First, I'm going to send lots of energy into that area, through my ear, down into my neck and throat, and really clean that up, get it ready for healing. And now I'm going to let the love team surround me. And I've just kind of taken over as surrogate for this. Sometimes it manifests on me. Sometimes like an avatar will come in and this all happens. But in this case, it was me. And so the love team has surrounded me now, and they're just sending love in through my ear, down into my throat, healing, making it stronger and cleaner, and creating a full area. We know that nature abhors a vacuum. If we don't heal that area and clean it up and fill it with love, something else could come back. And I can feel that tickle just disappear. And many of you are probably feeling the same way. Many of you in the future will feel the same way. Some of you will be watching this in the future and remember how this happened to you in the past, because the past, present, and future all entwine in this. We didn't talk about retrocausality, but it's one of the most exciting things that I ever heard about. In the paranormal world, people say, I'm a paranormal expert. Well, you may have gone on a lot of expeditions and you may know a lot about it. I don't know if we can call ourselves experts because we don't really know all that's going on. And so I would challenge the expert name. Maybe compared to others, you're an expert, and I don't want to, I'm not making fun of you. I can't use that for myself, even though I've done a lot of it. So we can't really use the scientific method because most of the things with ghosts and UFOs don't replicate. And that's what the scientific method's all about, is replication. So we can't use that. With retrocausality, that's something that could be proven. And so I can remember driving on the road one night, listening to a show, and a guy started talking about retrocausality. And his whole thing started by learning about a experiment that was done. Researchers went into a hospital and they were able to get the records of people that had a blood problem from 10 years ago and longer. And they took these files of the people that had the blood problem and they just randomly separated them into two piles. The one pile, they sent all kinds of good intention, love, prayer, every positive thing you can think of to this pile of records. And they did nothing with the other group. Then they started reviewing it. And what they found was that the group that they sent the energy to, the love, the healing, the prayers, the positive intention, healed faster, had a better recovery rate. Everything that, almost every number that you can imagine was better for that group. And so it showed us that things you do now can affect the past. And so it would not shock me that as people look at this in the future, that they remember a healing that took place even before we did this on the show. And they were just a part of that energy. So allow that to happen and enjoy it. And so this is all about good things. We've got positive intent for that. And that's what polymodellas are. And we'll talk about more of those. I'll probably do one every single show. And I'll do them some of them will be based on what I keep seeing as I'm doing healings. If I see the same manifestation over and over and over again, for a while, I was seeing this storm cloud over people's heads, lots of people with this storm cloud. And we did a polymodella on that cloud, and I stopped seeing that. It stopped being an anxiety. It stopped being a thing that people were carrying around with them. So it worked just fantastic, and I can't wait to do more polymodella. And I was messing up. I thought that we had another break coming up, but that's not till the bottom of the hour. So I was getting all prepared to break away and hurrying up my stories. And so we still have a half hour until our next break. So I'm going to keep talking. First, I need a little coffee. Just take a nice breath to let that polymodella fully go through me. And thank you. Thank you guys for being on here. This is the first show. Wasn't sure how it was going to go, how much reference I needed, but we have plenty to talk about, many things that we can go over. Would like to just talk one more time. No, it won't be one more time, but currently talk about the book, Slipstream Shaman. And I did this book, as I told you, I don't charge for the healings. I want to do more healings. I want to help more people learn how to do the healings. I want to make communities, the planet, and beyond better. And that's the name of the book, Slipstream Shaman, using quantum healing for individuals, communities, the planet, and beyond. And so to do that, since I'm not charging for the healings, and I want to be able to do it full time eventually, I wrote the book. And the book is to help you learn. I'm not holding anything back. I'm wanting to teach. And so as you get the book, as we do trainings in the future, as you sign up for Instagram and YouTube, we also have a YouTube channel. So please subscribe to that. The more we do with that, the more I'm able to do this, get away from my day job and do this full time to help more and more and more people. And so I want to thank everybody that's being a part of this and how you can help. So as I said, we're about a month behind with the healings. I would also encourage you, those of you that are listening that are energy healers, whether it's Reiki or some other modality, if you would like to share, if you want to share out with people how you're doing and what you're doing, I would love to pass that through me. If you are watching me and you think that guy needs to be healed on this, you have my blessing. Please do. Please, if you have a healing for me, go ahead and do it. And if you need me to do one for you, be sure to send it, and I will get to every single one, I promise. So let's talk for the next half hour just about paranormal. One of my truly favorite things. As a little kid, I grew up loving science fiction, loving ghost stories, even though they scared me pretty bad. Loving the things that most people were afraid of. Loved monster movies, all those things. And I think it's probably because I could see things that other people couldn't. I'd forgotten about a lot of that stuff until I started working in the quantum field and I can remember not too long ago I did a timeline regression, and I was just searching for something on me that I needed to heal, and I'm following this thing backwards down my timeline, and it took me to the basement where I lived as a little kid, and I had this really wonderful horse. It was a hard plastic horse, and it had 2 springs in the front, 2 springs in the back, and you could just rock it. And I loved watching Westerns. And so, the Lone Ranger, he didn't ride his horse slow, man. He was going. So I'm just riding this thing hard, and I'd get on that thing and go for 10, 15 minutes till I was basically just exhausted because I rode that thing so hard, like I was really going fast. And I can remember following that timeline back to one of those instances. I'm in the basement of the home that I lived in at the time, and I look up, and there's these 12 entities watching me. And what I call them is the watching man. Some people call it the Hat Man. Some people call it shadow people. But what it is something that's about 6 feet tall, fairly heavily built. And it usually will have a hat or a helmet. You know that it has a face, but you can't quite see it. It's dark. The whole thing is one color. It's going to be black or charcoal gray or a dark gray, maybe a dark blue. And it's going to look like it's wearing a long coat or maybe a cape or something. And that's what this watching man is. I've talked to hundreds of people that have seen this. I've seen it. And I don't think they're anything harmful. There have been people that have seen these things and they see glowing eyes. And those people have had problems. And for a long time, I was thinking that, these things may not actually be a thing, the ones with the eyes, because I never talked to anybody that saw that. Everybody I talked to just saw these things that were watching them. They were just standing there. They weren't doing anything. They weren't being aggressive. They weren't being scary. They were just watching. Now, seeing something like that in the middle of the night at the foot of your bed or in the doorway, yeah, that's scary. But they weren't like charging at them or grabbing them or hurting them in any way. Then I started talking to some people that were retired police officers. And I know 3 retired police officers that have seen these things, but in a much different way than I always have. And they had yellow eyes and they were aggressive. And one of the guys says, "I'm an alpha. I thought I was an alpha. This thing's an alpha. I'm nothing." And so you get those things. And I'm not sure what that that more evil, I hate to say evil, but the way they see it, it's evil. And I have another Facebook user. I've seen that. I also saw something that called itself a watcher, but wasn't in human form. So, there's definitely things out there watching us. One of the times as I was interviewing people about this watching man, and I don't know that it's a man because I can't see the face and you really can't see the body. It just seems like it's a man. But one of the people I talked to said he was laying in bed, saw this thing at the foot of his bed, and as he was looking at it, it started walking towards his face. So it's standing down by his feet. Now it's walking through him towards his face, gets behind him, and is standing up behind him. And my friends, this is a friend of mine, his perspective changed from looking forward where that thing was to looking up. Now he's looking through its eyes. He's looking down. He can see his body. and he had a message come to him that says, "I am you." And so he was wondering if maybe this thing was an aspect of himself, his future self, or maybe a higher version of himself, like many people believe that what we are on this earth is just a small aspect of a governing soul that sends us out to collect information so that it can grow as a soul, and that we're all part of that collective. So he wasn't sure if it was something like that, but very much thought it was somehow him. And that was one of the more unique ones. I've seen this thing usually when I'm working. I feel like someone's watching me. I'll turn around and just barely see it as it disappears. Other people see it. It's usually in hallways or doorways, or at the foot of the bed, are the three main places people see this thing. But they have seen them in others. I've seen them outside on rare occasions. I was talking to one gentleman, and he was saying, "Yeah, I see them all the time." And what I didn't know until the end of our interview was that he had been addicted to meth. And what he was telling me was about a very violent meth episode he had. And these things with the red eyes that were chasing him were actually police officers with night vision. And so sometimes you think it's one thing, but it's another. His was a drug one. The other people I talked to were not, that have seen it, and they're out there. There's a lot. We've got a Facebook user that commented that they had seen it. So they're out there. They're interesting to me. I'm very curious as to what they are, but I have not ever been afraid of them. And most of the people that I've talked to that have seen them didn't feel like they were anything bad, that they were just watching. And a Facebook user that sent that message that you'd seen it, what's your thoughts? Do you think it's just watching? Do you think there was something else? Do you have an idea of what it might be? And while we're waiting for that person to respond, we've got another one. The watcher walked out of my closet, walked straight to me and stopped, was looking at me and said, "Who?" And I said, "Who are you?" It said, "I am a watcher. You are you. Who are you?" It continued to stare at me, and I finally said, "If you don't mind, I am trying to sleep." And it walked through the wall and was gone. I wasn't scared. That's pretty cool and pretty unusual. Most people don't get the chance to have an interaction. I'm a bit jealous, and and I'm happy for you that you had that interaction and that you weren't afraid. To me, they've never put off a bad, scary vibe. But to those 3 retired police officers I told you about, they certainly did. And I'm telling you, these guys are not the kind of guys that get bothered by things. And these things bothered them. So there must be other forms out there of these things. But that's one of the more interesting. The Hat Man is something that because I've been able to be a part of it, I've been very interested in. And as people get more and more aware of it, I think there'll be groups dedicated. And I'm reading. I wasn't afraid. It seemed like it was keeping an eye on me because I was learning to tap into my gifts. Okay, so that yes, tapping into your gifts. As people start tapping into their gifts, many times they start seeing these things. I do see them when I'm in the quantum room and I'm helping people and I go places. I have not I've only run into 2 bad things while I've been out there. So there are bad things, but you've got to be that you have to be careful of, but they don't necessarily, there's so few of them that it's not a gigantic problem, but be very careful. I've talked to people, and Ron, the guy that we'll have on here in the next few weeks, he would run into things as he would astral project. And I can tell you with me, it's been about 20 years now. I was really wanting to do an astral projection, to just leave my body and go check things out. And the more I would try, it seemed like the worse my life became. Work became harder. I was getting in trouble at work. Bills would pile up. Whatever the case was, the harder I tried to project, at doing astral projection, the worse my life was. And I kept getting that feedback in my head. It's going to get worse until you stop this. It's going to get worse until you stop this. You shouldn't be doing this. But I was so interested in it, wanted it so bad I kept doing it. Things kept getting worse. I stopped, and all of a sudden things got better. So as this Facebook user said, this thing wanted to keep an eye on him as they were tapping into their gifts. I think there's something to that. I think many of us are watched for a reason. And when those things are watching us, maybe it is to let something know that we are developing our gifts, or maybe it's just to be there if we have trouble with some of the gifts we're developing, or maybe even to guide us in the future. So interesting stuff, and thank you for sharing, Facebook user. That's just an amazing thing, and I love studying the watching man. When I went on radio shows talking about the paranormal before the book, people would always ask, what was the scariest thing you ever did on a paranormal investigation? What was the scariest thing? And it's funny, those of you that have gone on ghost hunts, paranormal investigations, you know that for the most part, they're just boring. Other than you're with friends, you're with people you really like, and you're in places that you really like, fun places that you've never been before. And so they're a lot of fun and typically not scary. What happens is later, as you're reviewing evidence, that's when you get a little scared. You might hear something that you don't want to hear on your recordings, an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, that is telling you something very horrible. That's when you usually get scared. But when you're just out on an investigation, for the most part, there's not a lot of scary things going on. The 2 times that I've been most scared, I'll just share with you now. That should get us to the break. The first one was I was in this old cheese factory in Utah, and this thing had been added on to 7 or 8 times. You could just see different styles of architecture all through it. The original part of this building was gorgeous brickwork with big arcing windows, really a beautiful building, and probably built in the 30s. And then the stuff that was done in the 60s is kind of cheap, and the stuff from the 70s was really cheap. There's paneling up, and it was just a bad job. You could tell the decade that the different additions happened. And I was in the oldest part of the building on about the 4th or 5th floor, on the very top floor, and looking over this beautiful valley, standing in an arched window opening. The glass was gone, but the brickwork was still there. And looking at it, and is just amazed at how pretty it was. And backed away from the window, looked down to the side, and I see just this slight movement. So I put my light down on it, and it's a spider. And this thing is immense. It's got a body about the size of a nickel, and then legs out, beyond that. And it was thick. It was really thick, and it was just a gnarly gray color. This thing was creepy. And so me being me, I get down low to look at it. And as I'm looking at it, when you're on these things, you're keyed up, right? You're on a ghost hunt. You're on a paranormal investigation. So you're really looking around for things. What is this? Is there an alien aspect? Is it a ghost? Is it a demon? What are we dealing with? So you're really paying attention. You're really amped up. And I get down and I'm looking at this spider. And what I don't know is that right next to the spider, about a foot away from the spider, is a bird that had come in to sleep for the night. And when I got down to look at the spider, it scared the bird, and it flew right in front of my face and out the window. And that was the most scared I've ever been on a paranormal investigation. A bird scared me. I jumped pretty good. The second most was at a place called Eureka. And Eureka is a really cool place. It's in the West Desert of Utah. For those of you that watch different alien shows, it's right by a place called Area 52. What they're saying is the new Area 51. It's right by that. And you see weird things out there all the time. Sound travel's weird. You'll be looking at the sky and you see something blink, but then there's nothing there. Something just blinked once or twice and then there's nothing there. and it seems to be along certain lines. You see these weird blinks, but we saw what would be classified as a UFO. It was an unidentified flying object. This light just came across the valley at us, went overhead about 80 feet to 100 feet in the air, and about 50 yards to the side of us. Made no noise. This strange light was coming down. We could see the stars distorting a little bit. I couldn't really tell the shape. Somewhere between a circle and a triangle. I'm not quite sure the shape. But then it gets over to the mountains that we were by and just vanished. This light was gone. The thing was gone. So I don't know what that was all about, but there was 4 paranormal investigators, 3 with digital recorders, and all we did was point and swear. Nobody turned the camera to it. So when people say, well, I don't believe it happened because nobody takes a picture, here was 3 people used to taking pictures that didn't take a picture. So these things happen. But Eureka, I'm out there, and because it's such a creepy place, you don't know what's going on. I was walking around, and I came around these scrub oak trees, and there was a man standing there. And he didn't know I was there. I didn't know he was there. We both jumped out of our skin. We might have said some bad words. And that was the second most afraid I've ever been. And it was just another paranormal group that came up to this same spot to check things out. And they didn't know we were there. We didn't know they were there. And we scared each other pretty bad. Then we had some good laughs, and it's been one of those things. So for those of you that haven't done paranormal investigations, it's not going to be like Ghostbusters or anything where things are chasing you and it's being weird. And most of the TV shows really exaggerate the stuff. Some are pretty accurate, but for the most part, it's tedious. It's if it wasn't for your friends being there, you would be pretty bored with it. Your friends, and then just the cool buildings that you're in. So if you're thinking about doing that, I think it's a wonderful thing to do. But just know that it's not going to be like an adrenaline rush, a thrill ride, anything like that. So be prepared. It is fun. I can remember the first time I was listening to my recordings, playing them back, listening to them, and I get my first EVP, and I was walking down some stairs in a house, and it felt like it was behind me as I was listening to it. Something goes smack, like it was going to smack me in the head or something, just smack. That was the first one I ever collected. But the funny thing is, I have had, and usually TV shows and movies want to go to the dark side of these things. I have had at least 20 things, and probably more like 50, tell me that they love me. We love Todd. I love Todd. I love you. We do have the recordings of the help me's and those things, but they are not as prevalent as the love. And so to me, that tells me a lot about the energy of the universe, and that's what we're collecting. And maybe because it's what we expect, but I've had a lot of those things talk about love around me, and it's really wonderful. Another fun EVP I had was I was at in a dance hall, and it was at a private club in Utah, not too far from where they filmed Napoleon Dynamite, one of my favorite movies. Not too far from where they filmed that, and I'm out on a dance floor. Something came up to me, and I didn't know it at the time, but asked me to dance in Italian. So as I'm listening to the recordings a few days later, I get this strange sounding recording. So I make a clip of it, send it to different people in my group, say, hey, I don't know what this is saying. Can you understand what it's saying? And one of them actually spoke Italian and said, you were asked to dance in Italian. I wish that I could have heard it in real time and responded. Now, my dancing is kind of Frankensteinish, I think you might say. There's no rhythm. It's just kind of kind of thing. So I would have tried. It wouldn't have been pretty. Whatever asked me to dance would have probably laughed. But it asked me to dance, and I thought that was very, very unique, very wonderful. just so happy to have that experience. We've also had recordings of, if a female member of the group said, I'm going to go use the restroom, so many times we'll get a response, an EVP response that says, I'll be watching. I'm already there, things like that. And I'm not sure what the fascination is with bathrooms, restrooms, but we have recorded a lot of responses like that, where something makes comment that they're going to watch the person in the bathroom. But there's also a lot of, when I go do investigations at old buildings, like Union Railroad stations, those kind of things, it tends to gear around the restrooms, weird things happening in the restrooms, boots walking by when nobody's in the building, doors rattling, and again, nobody's there. The door opening and closing while you're using the bathroom, nobody's on the floor with you. So for some reason, restrooms seem to be a hot spot for paranormal activity, and all part of the fun. You're going to know a lot about me at the end of today. Those of you that are making it to the end. I've had an experience. Like I said, I saw that UFO in the West Desert of Utah. And I used to make jokes that I was going to let a UFO, let aliens capture me and take me to their UFO. And then I was going to take it over. I was going to commandeer their ship and fly it away and go wherever I wanted, go exploring. And as I would say this to people, people that had been abducted, they're saying, Todd, no, don't say that. You're going to make them mad. You're not going to be able to do that. Don't say these things. I had Dr. David Jacobs on a show talking to him, and he's interviewed thousands of people that have been abducted, and he's done hypnotic regressions on them to see what happened. And when I said that to him, he got cold. He just says, Todd, no, Todd, don't say these things. So many people told me not to. One night, I'm staying at one of those little motels. Like I said, I like old buildings. I like weird stuff. And so when I'm traveling, I like to stay at those little L-shaped motels on the side of the freeways and roadways. And, they usually have a swimming pool, or used to have a swimming pool right in the front, but they're shaped like an L. Love staying in those. And I'm in one, and I put my stuff in, and I look out the back window. There's a front window by the door, and then there's a back window. And I look out that back window, and I can see a field, and there's some abandoned vehicles. There's like a delivery truck and a couple cars, and there's a stove and a fridge and some other, just kind of junk out in that field. And get settled in, watch some TV, go to sleep. The middle of the night, I'm woken up, and that whole back wall where the window was that I looked out and looked at the field is gone. I can see right through it. I can see all that stuff out there. And in walks multiple aliens. There's like 4 different size grays. There's this insect looking guy. There is like this blob, round rolly entity. There's some things that I can't quite see. They're blurry. And they get me out of bed and kind of surround me, get all the way around me. And they make it clear that they don't appreciate me making fun of people being abducted. They don't think it's funny that I say I'm going to be able to take the ship, and they don't want to hear it again. I need to stop making fun of that right now. And to let me know that they were serious, they also told me, you're going to be sick for the next 3 days. And I was deathly ill for the next 3 days. I thought maybe they'd given me radiation poisoning. Now, a couple things could have happened. One, I actually saw these things, that it actually happened. They came to see me. That's what I believe happened. I think they came in and saw me and had an interaction. They needed to correct my behavior. The other thing may have been that since I was so sick for those days, that it was some kind of a hallucination from a fever. But I can tell you that I was so sick that at one point I thought I probably need to go to the hospital to be checked for radiation poisoning, because I really thought something like that had happened. I was very ill. But it did teach me that you don't make fun of these things. And I needed to respect the people who had been abducted, and I needed to respect what was going on. So I am curious about what the whole phenomenon is with alien abduction, with people being taken aboard and taught things, with people being taken aboard and having DNA removed from them. There's a lot going on, and I would like to know more about it. And we'll have people on the show that talk about that too. It's not just going to be about healing. I love everything paranormal. We'll have some really, really great guests that we talk to and talk about their books and their research. And it'll be healing. It'll be consciousness expansion. It'll be how do we become more one with each other. It'll be haunted stuff. It's going to be all kinds of fun stuff. Never a dull moment. You won't know what you're going to get when you come here, but it'll be fun every single time. We'll have a great time. And if you know somebody and you'd like to suggest a guest, by all means do that. You can. There's contact information at the station for me. There's stuff on here, where you can leave a message on the chat. So many ways to get in touch with me if you have something you want to talk about. We can certainly do that. And who knows, maybe even one of the listeners will be on someday. That's happened before. I have another radio show that we talk about the paranormal. It's called My Side of the Universe, if you want to look that up. And we talked to all kinds of people. I was lucky enough to have people from some of my favorite shows on that. For those of you old enough to know Star Trek, my favorite guest that I've ever had on is the man who played the Gorn, that slow-moving lizard man that fought Captain Kirk. I had the guy on that was in that costume. A lot of fun. His name's Bobby Clark, and just a down-to-earth, great guy. He was fun to talk to, but he also made it quite clear to me that he would much rather be out doing work on his ranch. And he's like 85 at the time. He'd much rather be out doing work on his ranch than talking to me about something that happened almost 60 years ago. But he said he had a great time on there, and thought the director was wonderful, that Shatner was very nice to him, and couldn't speak more highly of the whole experience of being on Star Trek. And just a great guy. If you ever get a chance to see him at a convention, definitely somebody to talk to. He's a fun guy. And that's kind of all the rambling we're going to do here for a minute. We'll probably be going to a break soon. And, Todd, I think it's time for us to head out, but we'll be back with more Slipstream Shaman, quantum healing, and beyond in just a minute.
Certified psychic medium Stephanie Lynn creates an authentic connection between the living and the spirit world. Stephanie knows she is here to help heal, educate, and provide validation that there is more after death, and allows herself to be a conduit and work as a team with spirit to pass on messages from their world to ours. Stephanie Lynn also works as a spiritual life coach to help you achieve, create, and manifest your best self and life. Looking for help communicating with an animal? Searching for a past life regression therapist? Or dealing with a paranormal experience? Stephanie Lynn is here to help. For a list of full services, visit her on Facebook under Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive. That's Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive. Ellie Weisensel's psychic medium is a medical intuitive that specializes as a body code practitioner. As an energy healer, Ellie offers additional services that allow her modalities to be intertwined with energetic healing. Within your subconscious lies information that knows everything about you and why you deal with specific conditions. The subconscious can be considered the blueprint to your entire body.
With Ellie working physically with your subconscious mind, we detect what negative emotions are trapped and where they are stored within the body that is causing you your emotional and physical pain. This work is designed to remove imbalances and correct them energetically, getting to the root cause of why you have your condition, to help balance your body so it may heal itself. Your body is infinitely wise and wants to be in balance. The body code is not only gentle for humans, but it is also a gentle process to help animals. For more information, contact Ellie Weisensell at the website below.
Welcome back. So we've got a half hour left. This has been a fun first show, and it's given me some ideas on how we're going to proceed in the future. And thank you for bearing with me. I might ramble at times, but I'm just so happy to be here. I want to kind of just talk about the energy work again. And as we're doing this work, we never know what we're going to run into. And I don't like to I want to describe what I'm seeing, but I don't want to interpret it for you. So if I tell you something like we pulled a rag from away from your heart, it doesn't mean there's an actual rag in your heart. It means that whatever we took out is representing itself as that. And you may know exactly what it means. It may have, that rag may have some connection to you. But I'm not going to try to interpret it for you, because the important part is that you interpret it. And when you read the different healings that I do, you're going to find that I talk about a lot of things, but I don't explain what it is, because I don't know. I don't want to make the mistake of saying the wrong thing. On my other radio show, I had a really, really good psychic medium on. And he was pulling a lot of good information for this lady, really good information, but he was interpreting it wrong. She knew what the symbols that he was pulling up meant, but he was saying, well, what this means is this and this and this. What this means is this and this and this. That's not what it meant. And it almost got to the point where they were fighting. And the bad part was he was hitting it dead on, absolutely dead on. But then he would go to interpret it, and it wasn't ringing true for her, and he wasn't picking that up. So he was doing a great job picking up spirit and symbols from spirit and relaying that to her, but in his interpretation was making it bad. So again, just like I talked about before, don't let my experiences jaundice what you're doing. Make it your own. So whatever that rag that I describe is, that's what it is. It's what it is to you. It's not what it is to me. Your interpretation is what matters. And as you're learning, for those of you that decide to do this, as you're learning, always remember that you're in control of this. And if something's not ringing true, adjust it until it does. Once you find the spot where it works for you, where that energy is lined up and working for you and it's ringing true and it's valid, that's when the breakthroughs are going to happen. So don't think you have to have it exactly like I'm talking about, because you absolutely don't. This is yours. This is your experience. You go out and make it work for you, and just have a lot of fun. Again, I'm gonna plug the book again, Slipstream Shaman, using quantum healing for individuals, communities, the planet, and beyond. And I just want you to see up here, as I told you about, my favorite thing on Star Trek was that Gorn, that monster, the Gorn, and where he fought Captain Kirk was the Vasquez Rocks. And the artist that did my cover put their version of the Vasquez Rocks on there and made me very happy. If any of you have ever gone there, you know what a magical place is. And if you ever get the chance, it's about an hour away from Los Angeles. That's why it's been used in so many movies, because it's fairly easy to get to and it's just cool. Go there. The energy is different than anything you've ever been around. I was there with a group of people, and And as soon as I got out of the vehicle, I just ran to the top of these things. And I'm not super, I'm an older guy, and I'm not in the greatest fitness level. In high school, I could have run up them easily. Well, I ran up them easily this time. The adrenaline kicked in, and I ran right up them. I was so excited to be there. Beautiful place. And if you get a chance to go to some place that you've always dreamed about and loved, man, I would encourage it. One of these days, don't you two fight. The two dogs I've got with me are getting ready to have a little battle here. I think it's all in fun. But maybe you heard them. But another place I want to go is Easter Island. And the place really is curious to me. What I would love to do is to be able to take some ground penetrating radar and take it out on a ship and go around the island and really look at what's underneath. What's 100 feet underwater? What's 200 feet underwater? Are there more moais? Are there buildings? Are there more structures? We find those megalithic structures there, just like you do in different parts of Peru and that. And so I'm thinking the same people that did that were also on Easter Island. And it wouldn't shock me if the deeper you go into the water, that a lot of it took place when the water was lower. And I would really love to find out. What are your thoughts? I love all that stuff, but that's, if all of a sudden I had a bunch of money and I was told you have to go on a month-long vacation, I'm going to Easter Island. I'm spending a month there. That's my spot. What's yours? My second one, if funds were unlimited and anything was possible, it would be the moon. I would love to go explore the moon. I think there's stuff going on. I think there's stuff on the dark side of the moon that we know, that we don't know of yet. And as more and more companies start going to the moon, we're going to find out some things that governments didn't want us to know. And that may be another episode that we bring somebody on. I had a really fun guest a few years ago that talked about that and has analyzed like 12,000. He spent like 12,000 hours looking at pictures of the moon. He's found all kinds of structures. So we might get him on to talk about that a little bit, but maybe share with me, where's your spot for those paranormal investigators out there? Where would you go if money wasn't an issue? Where would you go? What would be your investigation? And my two answers are the same thing. As for a vacation, the moon and Easter Island would be the two I'd want to go to. But everybody has a spot. Stonehenge seems to come up a lot. Maybe it's Stonehenge for you. Maybe it's just a house down the street. I don't know. But think about that. Where would you like to investigate? What would be important to you as we go on this trip together? We talked about the different social media that I'm on. If you want to be friends on Facebook, there's actually two, and it's kind of hard to figure out which one is me. I need to change the picture on one of them. So, but if you look for Slipstream Shaman, there is a page for Slipstream Shaman. Go there and then follow that. I don't do much Twitter, but YouTube is starting to build. There's only 2 videos on there. There's going to be a lot more. Oh, Sedona, Arizona. What a place. As I think of places with amazing energy, Sedona is always at the top of the heap. Scotland, I feel drawn to it. Yeah, Scotland would be great. What a fun bunch of people, and some old castles and some really cool energy. I had Barry Fitzpatrick, can't remember his last name. He was on Ghost Hunters International, and Barry Fitzgerald. And he was talking about some of the places in Scotland and Ireland and the little people. And they're not the like Darby O'Gill and the little people. They're mean and nasty and want to take you someplace bad. There's elementals. There's all kinds of things in Scotland. Yeah, that'd be a fun place. Sedona, I would like to go there and just spend some time and recharge the batteries. Like I said, when I think of Sedona, I just think of energy, positive energy, and it draws a lot of people there. Beautiful place, beautiful rocks, beautiful area. And thank you both Facebook users. Thank you for putting that on there. Scotland and Sedona, 2 very wonderful places to go. and just, go with your friends, hang out and see what's there. Think about it. Let's open up our minds and go do something fun and really, really make a difference. So as I was saying a minute ago, Facebook is a okay place to follow what we're doing. Instagram is the best. Well, Instagram and also the web page, if you want to leave me a note, but Instagram to see what's coming up next. And YouTube will have many videos. I'm trying to become a TikTok guy. You look at this gray hair, you think, you might not be a TikTok guy, but I'm getting some people involved. I've got a wonderful nephew, Trevor, that helped me with my website, and he's big on Twitch. People watch him race things on Twitch, and he really likes Twitch, so I may end up on that. And thank you, Twitch users, for watching us. And then another Facebook user. When I think about Sedona, I feel like it would be very healing. And there's just something about it. Even though I've never been there, it's just, as you hear about it, as you see different things, there's a draw. And I'm trying to think of other places that are a draw, and then places that I just don't want to be. There's a couple canyons in central Utah that absolutely draw me to them. They have, there's been a lot of Bigfoot sightings there. There's been a lot of UFO sightings there. There's a bunch of petroglyphs there. And less than 10 miles away, there's an area that almost looks the same, but absolutely gives me the creeps. The landscape's the same. There's tons of petroglyphs. There's been Bigfoot. There's been UFO sightings, but it just gives me the creeps. And it's just, it's also about, the place I'm talking about is probably 15 miles from Skinwalker Ranch as the crow flies. So, it's in that kind of creepy area on that side of the mountains, but you get on another side of this mountain and it's so peaceful and wonderful. Just different places that call me. There's another reservoir, Schofield in Utah, that just makes me feel at ease. People talk about different bodies of water that make them feel at ease, and we all feel energy, and the energy radiates different with us. Like, I'm sure if I went to Sedona, I'd be loving life and relaxed. My wife probably wouldn't enjoy it at all. We really have different energy levels that way, things that that touch us, and so that wouldn't be her ideal place, but it's the best place for many. So, we all have our own special place, and it's really cool to think about them. In the last few minutes, I was thinking maybe I would just look at one of the polymodellas from the book and read it. And so what I would like to talk to you about is polymodella number 2. No, actually, we're going to do polymodella number 1, connecting to others. Just going to read it to you. This is in the book. As I go into the quantum room, go ahead and take a breath. Try to get yourself, do what you can to get yourself in a place where you can really absorb the energy of what I'm reading. Think about it, picture it, keep your eyes open if you're driving, but really picture what we're talking about here. As I'm in the quantum room, a huge gray 3D outline of a man walked into me. He was the basic shape of a man depicted on so many restroom doors that direct the male of our species to enter. The warrior love and a massive 7-generation team joined me for this session. I walk up to the gray outline of the man, unzipped him from head to toe. Underneath the gray was a very vibrant color and life. Now, instead of seeing the gray man, I was in a tropical paradise with blue ocean, blue skies as far as I could see. There were tropical birds, trees, and lots of sand in this place. The beauty was beyond belief. I stood still and just soaked in the place. As I was standing there, I started to get directions. Lay below a tree and relax. Feel the tree. Feel the breeze. Feel the earth's energy. You can feel this energy when you're not touching the earth. You can be on a skyscraper, an ocean liner, or a jet and still feel the energy. So even if you're driving right now, you can feel that energy. I can feel it in my legs. I feel this whole thing returning to me. And again, like I told you, when I'm in that quantum space, I don't remember stuff. So this is, to me, like I'm reading it for the first time. It's beautiful. At this time, I'm wondering if our lack of connection with each other is our planet's worst problem. Why is this the first thing that comes to me for the Polymodella section of the book? As these and other questions were rifling through my thoughts, I felt a connection starting to form with the earth. The earth was reaching out to me. With each inward breath, I felt the connection increase. Each inward breath brought a calming energy to me and my speeding thoughts. Each inward breath allowed me to reach a deeper level of peace. Each time I exhaled, I felt damaged, hurting energy leave my body and psyche. At first, this caused me stress. I didn't want to send pain and damaged energy to the earth. Then a quieting thought came through. It is okay. The earth uses this energy for fertilizer. It is going to a place of high value. Let the pain leave. One of the most intensely beautiful things I've ever witnessed happened next. The warrior team, the love team, and the huge 7 generations team were all doing exactly what I was. They were all standing still, breathing at a synchronized rate with each other and releasing pain and damage. All of us were letting go. All of us were healing. I believe you are reading this for a reason, or hearing this for a reason. I would like to invite you to feel what was/is happening and be a part of it. You may have already been a part of this event. You may be joining it right now. You may even be reliving it. Whatever the case, please enjoy the beauty and recovery of this event. While writing this section of the Slipstream Shaman, every time I read this section, I am transported back to the event and feel every blockage in my energy heal. I feel this beautiful energy go to all the places in my thoughts, my body, my soul that need it. I heal when I'm in this energy. Soon I felt the healing energy that was taking place expand to the entire planet, then the solar system, and finally our entire Milky Way galaxy. I hope it went even farther, but my perception is not strong enough at this time to witness that. Please touch a tree whenever you can. That was Polymodella of the book number 1, and it was in the Slipstream Shaman book. It was all about connection, and I just find it fascinating that I can't remember these things. I did that session. I lived that session. I made notes about the session. I wrote the notes down. I edited those notes. I've read that section I don't know how many times. And just then it was like I was reading it for the first time. It's really amazing the way energy and our brains work. I hope you were able to tie into that and really feel it and think about it. But there's 5 in this book. There'll be at least 5 in the next. And we'll start doing weekly Polymodellas that will be on YouTube and on this show. We'll do a Polymodella every week on this show. I think that's important. And so you should be able to be a part of 2 every single week. And I think that'll be doing wonderful things for us and the planet. And I hope you start doing your own and really healing the many. Well, we don't have a lot of time left. We're about 12 minutes out, but I want to thank everybody. I don't know how many of you have been on the whole time. Eventually I'll get a tracking thing on this. They're taking it easy on me for the first few and not giving me too much information. I do love that I've been getting comments, and I want to thank everybody that commented, Facebook users. Each one has been a Facebook user, and then Pete. I'm pretty sure he's from the show, Pete Orbia. Thank you for that. And it looks like Pete started out as coming from the Facebook also. So thank you. It means a lot that people are responding and interacting. I really appreciate it. And I hope you felt what we were doing today. And it's all about helping. As I told you, when I found my purpose, if you're looking for your purpose, getting into your quantum room, finding your energy, getting into your quantum room is a great place to find that purpose. And it's been a game changer for me. Knowing what my purpose is helps me to make decisions about how I'm going to proceed with things. And so many times you get caught up in work and home and different things. When you know that purpose, it really helps you distribute your resources, whether that's time or money or whatever the case. And knowing that my purpose is to help, it really helped me focus and helps me stay grounded as I do different things. So thank you for being on that journey with me. I really appreciate everybody that's involved. Normally, I only talk for an hour. And so this last little bit, I hope, is not wearing you out. But it's been great. And I just want to say again, thank you. I'll be here every week. Most of the time, there'll be a guest with us. And I'm just so happy to be here. So thank you. And with having said that, I think it's probably time for this first show to end. Thank you for joining us on Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond. I had a blast. I've got some notes of things I want to talk about in the future and things that happened to me during the show. And I hope you all felt it as we were going through and the different things we did. So thank you for joining us on Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond. And we'll see you next week at the same time. Thank you.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.